Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Heal Your Mind, Heal the World podcast. My name is Anne Marie Morales, and today I have an extraordinary gentleman with me. His name is Luis Gallardo, and I can pronounce it. Ha! Yes. He is the founder of the World Happiness Foundation, and he was also in the hypnotherapy group where I learned hypnotherapy, and that's how I first got to know him. But he has since taken up a much larger role with the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy as a co-CEO. That's wonderful. And I am so excited and pleased to welcome Luis Gallardo to the podcast. Welcome, Luis.
Thank you so much, Anne-Marie, for bringing me here. So much looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, terrific. It's been, I've always, I can't even fathom the work that you do. I would love it if you could just kindly give us an introduction to who you are and what brought you to this point in your life.
Yeah, thank you so much. Well, as we know, when we go deeper into the inquire, who am I? The goal is to go deeper and deeper and deeper to get to our essence. So I think in essence, I am peace. And that's the way I try to live my life. From that perspective, now if we put more layers to that essence, right now my manifestation is to realize a world of freedom, consciousness, and happiness for all. So we are 8 billion people in the planet right now. We are going to be 10 billion by 2050. And basically, my being is focused on realizing that small scale, big scale, whatever scale, it could be one-on-one, it could be one-to-many, it could be train-the-trainer approach, which is more the strategy that is behind. Before I was realizing this vision, I've been in kind of living multiple lives. As corporate executive, I was the global CMO of Deloitte, big consulting firm, and I was there for 12 years. I was an international observer with the United Nations in post-armed conflict. So after war, you need to witness the transition into democracy or peace, and international observers become very important to keep peace on the ground. I've been a sports coach. I love handball. So that was part of my life, very important, because I started as a handball coach when I was 14, and it was more than 12, 15 years coaching kids and groups. That brought me a lot of perspective about individual goals and collective goals, and how game and playing becomes fundamental for our life. I write books. I like to do therapy, hypnotherapy. I'm a professional coach as well. So I think that basically I'm so happy I could die right now. I feel like I'm so fulfilled with so much stuff that I've been doing in my life. Hopefully I can stay a bit longer so I can help more people. But my goal right now is, let's do small things, big things, whatever, to bring more peace and more happiness to as many people as possible.
That's beautiful. Thank you for bringing out that perspective of who you truly are, as you are peace. And I mean, that's how I've seen my life as well. I strive every moment to be in peace, peace under all circumstances, the true peace that lies within us all. But people need help to get there. They really do. Was there ever a time in your life where you needed to heal your mind, because my podcast is Heal the Mind, Heal Your Mind, Heal the World. And meaning that each and every one of us, we can only control ourselves, right? We can only hope to embody the love and peace ourselves. And through that, then we collectively raise the frequency, we raise the love of the entire planet. So we heal the world just by healing ourselves. Did you ever have a time in your life where you needed to heal yourself?
Oh, absolutely. Many times. And this is something that I've been exploring through hypnotherapy myself, through past life regressions, through interlife, life between life regressions, through childhood regressions, through wound regression. So I think that I'm so happy that through this hypnotherapy journey, we had the opportunity to actually explore this ourselves. And I discovered basically one important wound that I face, which is rejection. So normally when we do some research on universal wounds that humanity face, there are about 6 that I know, and I've written about that a lot. The first one and the mother of all wounds is separation, but actually separation from self, separation from our soul. I don't think that's my wound at all. I think that I'm very close to my soul. But there is a second one that to me means a lot, and I've done, and I am still doing a lot of healing, is the wound of rejection, the wound of feeling that you don't belong, the wound of feeling that you're excluded. And I've been through my life through several occasions where I was betrayed. And I will be betrayed by people that I love, actually, by people who were very close to me. So, when that happens, you suffer, and you have to understand why is this going on. So I finally discovered this through past life regressions, because in my life, when I was a child, I wasn't facing that, and I've been actually healing a lot of my memories as a child through hypnotherapy. But at some point, it was when I became as well a facilitator of the Michael Newton Institute, Life Between Lives. When I did, I think it was 7 Life Between Life regressions, and there was the whole picture. I saw it completely. And it was in multiple lives, in multiple past lives, where I was learning, but I didn't learn it. So that was part of what I was living, but I never actually fixed it, or I never basically fully learned. So that's why probably my soul in this life has chosen to keep living the betrayal. So I finally learned that. Right. So when I had that realization, then I said, okay, now I get it. Now I get it. So now this is actually one of my key learnings in my life. How do I pass over this lesson of being betrayed? Why is that happening? What do I create in others for them to betray me? Because this is in my behavior, and that creates and attracts this type of people. And from the moment that I actually realized that pattern, now it's been a number of years, actually, already, that everything is flowing, everything is going amazing at so many levels, and now I'm attracting the really different people to the ones who betray me. So yes, that required a lot of healing. That wound, rejection, brought me betrayal, and that exploration of betrayal brought me now a really good, I would say, interpretation of what true peace, what I call fundamental peace, means for you. for me.
That is beautiful. Thank you for sharing all of that. I have found in my own practice, I do energy work for people as well as hypnotherapy. And I just had a client the other day who had two significant chakras that were meant to heal past feminine trauma. And I feel like those of us who are here and now are meant to close the door on these large traumas collectively, individually, yes, but also on behalf of the collective, so that we can move forward into a new era of humanity, an era of peace where true peace is attainable because of the overall frequency of humanity. We can learn to heal. So it's so wonderful that you share that, because I know it happens for men as well, not just for women, where you are called to or contract to heal a collective, let's say, error in the mind of maybe the sacred of the masculine, or something similar to that. Do you come across that in your practice at all, or what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I love it. I truly believe that we all share collective unconsciousness and collective subconsciousness, the same as collective consciousness. So I think that we have all those levels of sharing among humanity, and I feel that as well that individual wounds are the source of collective wounds, and collective wounds retrofit individual wounds so we can get to planetary wounds. So I think that the same way that we can have the wound of rejection, that can be expanding, and you can expand this to collective wound. It could be the wound of war. It could be the wound collective hate. Because imagine that you feel rejected, then if you are not peace, what you are going to be doing is reacting. So we see this today in the world is a lot of polarization because we are excluding the other. So I want to feel and I want to build my own identity separated from the other. So that creates polarization. From a sociological point of view, I'm a sociologist. You can get into subjective polarization because the more you polarize, the less you want to know about the other person. The less you know, the more separation. So there is a moment where if there is a threat, then you're going to be defending yourself by attacking. So that can create a whole dynamic of distraction by this individual wound of rejection. If you do the opposite, it's like you know that you have the one. Well, what do? Well, you overcome it by not passing the pain. So you transmute the energy that creates and activates that one into healing. So you become gentle with yourself. You become kind, and from there you start realizing, well, this is it. I mean, I feel this because I have the wound. How do I behave? Well, what I'm going to be behaving is a proactive way. I'm going to create. I'm going to think and act from an abundance mindset instead of a scarcity. I'm going to see opportunities instead of lack. I'm going to be bringing and including others, although I feel excluded, and you become a bridge. So actually, when I look at my life, this is the way I'm acting now with the World Happiness Foundation, with these networks that we are creating, now with this co-CEO role with the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy to help Matthew Brownstein and the team to bring hypnotherapy to more people. So building on your question is individual wounds, collective wounds, community wounds, planetary wounds are interconnected. If that's the case, my job as vocation, as realization could be to heal the collective wound of rejection.
Mm.
The collective wound of rejection is poverty. Is poverty. Is thinking from scarcity. Is thinking that there is not enough. Is thinking, and poverty is not just wealth. It's about anything that I'm lacking. And right now the world is lacking peace, and the world is lacking happiness because we don't know, and we don't know how to tap into it, because there are so many other wounds like shame, like guilt, like alienation, that are bringing us closer and closer to destruction than to a co-creation. So yes, I couldn't agree more with you. And I have identified already a few of the collectives that really need healing in a collective way. And one of them is the Jewish community. And I got that message from so many different sources. So you realize what's going on in the world today with these separations. The more you become and you believe you're a victim, and you separate from the one who caused the pain, the more, if you don't heal it, the more you're going to be reacting with violence, defending yourself. So today we have a specific community, and one of them is a Jewish community that is overreacting through violence to all the harm that they were exposed to through thousands of years. So the way we can heal that community is by going into the daughters, into the women that are part of the families, the most conservative families, because these are the ones that, from an epigenetic point of view, or from a transgenerational point of view, they are bringing and passing all this trauma to different generations. So these are very practical example of what you were mentioning. Yes, we are here in any capacity to heal individual wounds as well as collective wounds.
Yes. And from what you're saying, it's the concept that you are different than me. And it's that concept that because of the past, I cannot see you any other way. And that goes to A Course in Miracles. I think it's lesson 8. I can only see the past. And so I think we're all being called to bring in the now, bring in the right here and now, and kind of look at each other, like children look at each other, through that purity, through that joy. Hey, can we play together? Yes. Okay, let's play. There's nothing else besides pure intention. And I think that is extremely important for us. And why we all need to bring ourselves into a more unity consciousness and more understanding that we are all one in this sense. And especially if it's happening to us individually, if it's in our realm, if it's in our intimate realm, then we are called to face this. We are called to transmute this. That's kind of how I look at it in my point of view. Let us talk a little bit about, how did you come up with the idea of the World Happiness Foundation? And can you describe the mission of it, please?
Yes, yes, definitely. I was thinking of what you just said as well, building on it. And this is very much related to the World Happiness Foundation and what we do. What is very important, and this is what is becoming very, very difficult for people, is to understand the concept of oneness, the concept of being one. Because the reality is that from a body material perspective, we are not one. We are 8 billion.
8 billion. Yes.
Billion ones. So people don't understand. When we say we are one, people say no, we're not. Because you don't look at the oneness from the soul perspective, from the consciousness perspective. Because 85% of people are under 200. If we look at the David Hawkins scale of consciousness, 85% of people are below 200 in a scale of 1,000. Below 200 means that we are in the shame, fear, guilt, and hurt space. We are basically living completely in pain, separated from our soul. So that's why we don't get it in the world. That's why we are moving and we make decisions from an ego that is hurt. So when we are hurt, basically we defend ourselves. So this is very important to understand as well, to link with the World Happiness Foundation mission, because unless we understand that we are souls, that we are consciousness creating humanity, then we don't get it. We are not going to get it. The moment that you see yourself beyond your body, that changes. That's why hypnotherapy is so important, because you have to get into higher states of consciousness. So when you get into higher states of consciousness, you look at things from a dissociated way. So you dissociate from the body and you see from the observer perspective. So that's a different game, because from that perspective, we are one. Because you see, and when you go into past lives and interlife, especially life between lives, before reincarnations, that's the space of the soul. The space of the soul is oneness. But I think we are still struggling to pass this message to people because they don't understand this, and it's going to take years for people to understand. So that's why we created the World Happiness Foundation, because we believe that a ultimate state of humanity being souls is Ananda. What in the Indian scriptures is super well defined, is the Satchiananda, is the connection of consciousness with bliss, with contentment, with delight, with happiness, with peace. And we can name it in so many different ways, but that's a genuine state of harmony and balance, where everything is organized through the energy of love. So if we are, and in this case, my personal case is I am a bridge. So I know that I am peace and I have to bridge non-violence and violence, because violence and intolerance is the shadow of forgiveness. Mm-hmm. So when we live in a shadow state, we are intolerant. In order to get into the essence state, which is forgiveness, I have to do something. And in this case, I have to understand. Once I understand, then I can forgive. But actually looking at intolerance, I see understanding. And using understanding, then I can get into my essence, which is forgiveness. So this is the role of the World Happiness Foundation. The World Happiness Foundation has identified happiness as the bridge between intolerance, between control, between conflict, whatever shadow you want to look at, and the essence. And the essence is peace, is bliss, is contentment, is satisfaction, is all those states where we want to be, but we are not, because we are not conscious enough to move into the essence state. So the World Happiness Foundation's focus is, how do we bridge shadow with essence? How do we bridge and bring the gift of contemplating the shadow into who we really are, individually and collectively? And we've done this in a very strategic way. We are doing this at the macro level. For example, creating the International Day of Happiness. This is a United Nations official day, March 20th, that is now being celebrated for 12 years around the world. So these are really good excuse to have one day to celebrate happiness. We have another day now, July 12th, which is Hope, International Day of Hope. There is another day that is International Day of Mental Health, International Day of Yoga. So we like to play with those symbols. Then we like to rally governments and public policy, working with the OECD, working with UN institutions, working with governments at the city level, at the national level, bringing a public policy that is focused on well-being and happiness, socio-emotional learning brought to schools. So we have programs of schools of happiness, enterprises of happiness, cities of happiness, because we chose happiness as the bridge. Why? Because this is understood by every single body around the world. This is one concept that is celebrated every day, millions of times. There is a happy birthday every day. There is no culture in the world that doesn't celebrate being born. And that's a happy moment. We celebrate everything that is remarkable and we label it happiness. So that's ultimately the goal of 99.9% of humanity. It's either you being happy or your family being happy, your kids being happy. So when you ask, what do you want for your kids? Well, I mean, it's really strange that you don't say happiness. So I think that happiness is a universal element that is understood by everybody. And when happiness becomes the active element, and you understand that happiness is about sharing it, you cannot be happy by yourself because we are interbeings. We are interpersonal at so many levels. We cannot survive by ourselves. I mean, tell a baby when he's born that he's going to survive, not even being 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old, you cannot survive. You need always somebody. We are collective beings, we are emotional beings, and we need other people to be happy. Once we realize that it's not about being happy, it's about being happiness, then what you are doing is the embodiment. The key part here is the embodiment. So basically what we are doing at the World Happiness Foundation is to show people how to embody happiness by sharing, by being of service. And that's the link with hypnotherapy. Because we know that we have so many blockage, that we know that we have so many memories that were created when we were children that were the response, the coping mechanism to situations that were overwhelming us. So when something overwhelms you, you create coping mechanisms. And when that happens to you when you are a child, your coping mechanisms are normally going to be defending yourself from suffering at any cost, because otherwise you can die. So at some point, if you have a parent that is abusing you, you are going to be defending yourself by giving love instead of refusing what's going on. And if that happens, when you realize that you don't deserve what you are, you undermine who you are. And this is just a small example. I work very close with the Indian community, and shame is the big wound of so many women, because they were abused at so many levels when they are a child, and they never overcome the realization of why that happened, because they thought they deserved it. And at some point you realize that actually it's not just that you didn't deserve it, that actually you have to heal it. Because if you don't heal the self-worth of being abused, You are not going to live a healthy life. You cannot be happiness. That's why hypnotherapy is so important, because you can only heal this by going into the root cause.
Mm.
So if we want to achieve high states of happiness, high states of what I call fundamental peace, which is the interconnection of freedom, consciousness, and happiness, you have to heal your wounds. You have to understand what are those wounds, and you have to do something, normally going into childhood wound, past life, or interlife. So what happens to us right now as adults is basically a reaction, is a response to what happened to us in the past. So this is what we do at the World Happiness Foundation. We bring tools, we bring mindsets for people to fully function and flourish. That's our goal.
Beautiful. And thank you so much for the work that you do. As you're speaking, I'm getting so much energy, and I'm hearing the light language in my head, which is like a really big thing for me. And I can feel into the work that you do, and I felt into that shame of the woman that you are describing. And we had the pleasure of meeting in October of last year in person, and I heard you speak, and I do feel it so much that I would love to assist with that. And we'll let the universe create that option for myself, and I hope it. And I will let the universe create it, because I believe in what you do. I think it's incredibly important. And so you are working in India. That's correct. And from what I understand, you also create jobs for people. What is it like on the ground that you're providing there for the people to build their self-esteem, to heal their collective trauma? Yeah.
Yeah, this is so important. Yes, we are in India, and we are in many countries. So we are in more than 100 countries with small. We call them agoras, which are communities that are bringing more consciousness, more freedom, and more happiness to any community.
Mm-hmm.
So we are very practical. It's like we know what it takes to heal, because our network are all professional healers. So we have medical doctors, we have nurses, we have psychologists, we have hypnotherapists, we have coaches. That's our network. We have a network of professional healers. So we know what it takes, and it takes the transmutation of the energy that is blocking us to connect with our soul. That's it. It's very simple. When we are soul state, we are healed. We are perfect. When we are not at that state, then we are doing what humans do, is suffering till we learn how not to. So last week I was in Calcutta, learning and being close to the community of Sri Ramakrishna. And Sri Ramakrishna basically is one of those sages, one of those swamis that is very kind of ultimate in the sense of being love himself, and doing that through devotion and in unconditional love. So he was one of those sages that he was all about practicing love. When you learn how to get into that state of unconditional love through devotion, which is bhakti yoga, that's one path to healing. And it's very clear, the path. You go into that path, and then actually the disciple of Ramakrishna, he's the one that brought together with Ramakrishna and with Aurobindo the whole concept of service, the whole concept of being of service to others. and maximizing your impact by being of service. This is the same concept of bodhisattva in Buddhism. It's somebody who already got into the summit. He saw what enlightenment is, and he decided to come back to help others to get and walk the path. So once you know that we know how to get into a healing state, which is being in soul state, then the idea is, how do we do that? Actually, Ramakrishna said that the same way that you can go to an inn, to a hotel, and you rent for it, and you pay the rent, the soul pays the rent of being in the body. And the rent is through suffering and disease. So disease and suffering is the rent that the soul is paying to be in the body. Because the soul is going to be learning. It's going to be learning about that. So we are living in a school of souls. And imagine that we believe that, well, what is the soul going to learn in this world? How to get out of suffering. Because there is a path. So we acknowledge there is suffering and there is a path to get out of it. So for those of us, for those of whomever is listening to this, imagine that this is true. Imagine that we all suffer. Imagine that suffering is real. Imagine that there is a path out of suffering. How do you walk that path? What are the steps to get out of suffering? That's what we know. We know it. And we know this. And this is what somehow we are wired to do right now in the world, is to showcase what are the steps and to teach people how to do that. So when we go to India, those are the steps that we are teaching. That's the way that we work in the field. So in this case, for example, in India, we are helping 40,000 artisans that are carpets, weavers, to have a fulfilling life. And we do rituals every day, and they go through them. And there's a moment where they are so in harmony, so much in harmony, that now what we are bringing is the community around the artisans to feel what it is to be at peace. So by having communities that actually got into the space of peace and happiness and bliss and ananda, then that's contagious. Because people feel, when you're with somebody that has a good energy, you feel it. The same way that when you're with somebody with kind of bad energy, if we can say simplification. So we feel it. So this is what we are bringing to teachers in Latin America. We train more than 55,000 teachers, bringing self-regulation and self-awareness to their lives, so that way they can become happy teachers. Because when you look at the classroom, teachers' energy creates classroom culture. So if the teacher is not in balance, the classroom is going to be suffering, and the students are going to be suffering. So we focus on teachers, we focus on leaders that can bring more harmony and balance to their jobs and work. We focus on healers, on psychologists, professionals that can bring more tools and more processes into the enlightenment, or basically into the fundamental peace process.
Thank you very much for sharing all of that. And as I'm listening to this, I'm remembering a point in my life where I realized that each and every human soul is equal in the eyes of God. There is no division. The reason I bring this up is that I'm here in North America, and my audience is of, let us call it, a first world nature. And well, back during 9/11 is when this came to me, and this was long before my awakening, but I believe I knew that I already had contact with higher wisdom, because I would ask a question and I would hear the answer, even while I was still Catholic, Roman Catholic. And I just remember I was there for 9/11. I witnessed it with my eyes, and it shifted my life. It was very traumatic for me, as you can imagine. And I remember asking God, why did this have to happen? These people that died, they were just like me, just going to work, being dads and moms. Why did they have to die like that in your name? After all, that's what we were told. And this was about the time when we learned about the Taliban and how they treated their women. And what I heard in my head was, well, how do you think I feel when my daughters are being abused? And it automatically equalized me, the first world New Yorker, with this nameless, faceless woman, as being equal in the eyes of God, and equal, equal in value to creation, to God, to all that is. And why what you're doing is impressing me in this moment is because there's still a program running in me, I suppose. But then I'm thinking to myself, no, they are there. They're healing them is brilliant, because they're accessible to you. You can't come to North America and do what you do. There's too many blocks. There's too many belief in separation, as you are saying. They're not going to listen to this. But these beautiful communities that you work in are open to it, and they're there and willing and receptive. And so this is how you heal the mind and heal the world. You do it through each individual receptive mind. And forgive me for kind of going there, but it is exactly perfect. It is exactly perfect, because these communities, number one, they need it. Oh, and by the way, I was an educator for almost 20 years, a teacher. I taught elementary students art for almost 20 years. And I understand the idea of having a healed teacher, heal the healer, heal the teacher, because if the teacher is off balance, man, the children, they don't know that they're just going to just pick up on that. So what a beautiful thing to prioritize. That's exactly what it needs to be. Wow. What else can I say? I mean, I'm just so.
No, but just really on that, Marie, because I live in Miami.
Oh, okay.
and I have many individual clients and collective groups in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I know very well what's going on. And I gave a speech in Washington to 1,400 mayors.
Wow.
That was 2 years ago, about creating cities of happiness. How can we deal with the public health crisis going on in the United States? Because it was a public health crisis, and that was a statement for the whole conference, coming from so many mayors, from Portland to, look at now, so many other cities. So when I spoke about, when you look at the Declaration of Independence in the United States, it's all about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If that's the case, if that's the goal, that should be the goal for the government. That should be the goal for the government leaders. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So what I wonder is who is respecting this? Because this is the issue. we get a lot of leaders that completely forget who they are at the soul, at the essence level. And when you know who we are at the essence level, we are love, and we are one, and we all are consciousness. And God will never, never, ever use violence to justify freedom. Never, ever. However, the means are justified by the end. And this is completely wrong. So many people in North America and the United States say freedom is not free. I've worked with veterans in Colorado that tried to kill themselves 8 times. That after they came from deployment, they are completely destroyed. And they don't know how to recover at all. And you know what is the biggest injury they face? It's called moral injury. Because people keep them calling heroes, and they know they are not. They know they are not. Because at the core level, you don't kill anybody. You don't kill people. So there is a huge incongruence right now going on. And we are being manipulated consciously to create separation. We are manipulated to use hate as and revenge. We are normalizing violence when that is a huge mistake for further separation. And all this is driven by sources that they have lost their understanding about what life is about and what success is about. These are forces that are framing success as power, money, and fame. So when you think that success is money, power, or fame, this is your compass. How do I get more money at any cost? How do I get more fame? How do I get more power? Because once you have the money, what you want is power. So this is all about power forces. Power forces that are making decisions in the name of God. Well, that's bad. If there is something bad, is to make decisions in the name of somebody who is all about forgiveness. Because whatever God that you look out there, and actually there are thousands, it's all about forgiveness. It's all about love. It's all about compassion. So whomever justifies violence in the name of God, and it could be a Taliban or it could be ICE, this is wrong. It's completely wrong. And sooner or later, we realize how wrong this is. At the same time, everything is impermanent. Everything happens for a reason, because there are universal laws as well. And we are under universal laws. So at some point, all this struggle that we see and all this alienation and disconnection is happening for a higher reason.
Exactly.
And we'll know what that reason is once we get there. What we have to do, and you know that Marie and everybody here, the Institute of Interpersonal Hypnotherapy and World Happiness, is to do what we are here to do, which is bringing our essence. And our essence is forgiveness, is peace, is happiness. And that's going to be our compass. Regardless of whatever is going on around the world, we are non-violent. We are peace. We are about compassion, forgiveness, and love.
Oh, it's beautiful. Absolutely. And I think you bring up a very important point. So we don't know what anything is for. That's from A Course in Miracles as well. And so, as you state, there's a reason for everything that's happening. There's a reason for whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Things are happening for a higher divine purpose. I believe this 100%. I believe the reason why we're able to have this conversation, the reason why you are doing what you're doing, is because there is a great momentum towards peace, a great momentum towards change, a great momentum, universal momentum towards love, a return to love, a return to balance from decades and eons of imbalance. And so, even astrologically speaking, we're moving from a Piscean warring era into an Aquarian love era. This is where we are in time. And the universe, God, creation is supporting you, is supporting me, is supporting all those souls that are here exactly to embody new earth. The new earth is what I do call, and from my galactic and perspective, tomato, I believe what you're offering the world is beautiful. What you're creating is and what you have created is brilliant and beautiful, and in alignment with our true nature, and with the future and the hope of humanity, truly becoming one loving unit, patient unit, collective. And I think it's gorgeous. So, Louise, thank you so much for your precious time. I have learned so much. I have felt such deep connection to the work that you do. And if anybody wants to reach out to you or learn more about you, where can they find you?
Yeah, I think the easiest is the World Happiness Foundation website, www.worldhappiness.foundation, or my Instagram at Gallardo, Gallardo World, or my personal website, gallardohypnotherapy.com. If somebody wants to go into the deep transformation, we can do this together. Yeah.
Yes, beautiful. Well, okay. Well, thank you so much, Louise, for being with me. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the podcast. If you like this information, please like, subscribe, and share. Follow Luis on his social media and keep up with that. And if you wish to work with me, you can always find me at ammhypnotherapy.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you.